Live from Manchester Morgue mostly contains spoilers. Mostly.
This is not a dream. We are using your preferred podcast provider as a receiver.
Welcome to Live from Manchester Morgue. We are a horror film podcast, and for each episode, we tend to choose a couple of films we think would make for an excellent double bill. If you're a returning listener, welcome back, and thanks. If this is your first time tuning in, thanks again, and please accept my apologies. I'm Gaz, and with me, as always, is Ken. Hello, Ken.
Hello.
In a previous
It's
episode,
more enthusiastic than usual.
I know. I don't. Are you on uppers or something? Gee. In a previous episode, we talked about Rosemary's Baby. Tonight, we're going to round out our coverage of the classic yet unofficial Unholy Child trilogy with the Omen and the granddaddy of them all, the Exorcist. And to help us do that, I'd like to introduce a very special guest who knows a thing or two about religion and horror, author Matt Rogerson. Hi, Matt.
Oh, yeah, thanks for having me. My name's Matt. Horror writer specialising in the intersections between horror and Roman Catholicism, which I'm guessing is why you've got me on.
We thought you might have some insights into into the two films we're going to do tonight. How many books have you got out at the moment now, Matt?
3 this year.
3 this year?
3 this year?
Yeah. After working on them for like 7 or 8 years, they've all come out in the space of 12 months. So the Vatican versus horror movies is the first. That came out in February. That was followed up with Fulci's Inferno, my book about the films of Lucio Fulci, which came out last month. And literally published and printed today is my first book as publisher and editor. That's called Darkest Margins, and that is 24 essays on liminality and liminal spaces in the horror genre. So a bunch of essays by a bunch of different writers, that one that I've edited.
Wow. Good work. Prolific.
I did not know about Fulci's Inferno. I have just added that to my Amazon wishlist. So
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Nice.
My labour of love, that one.
Oh, nice. I was going to say, we normally cover a little bit of news. I've not got much news other than the fact that Rob Reiner died this week.
Yeah. So I suppose we'll get out of the way early because I have it in my notes. But I was thinking when I was doing my notes for the Omen that there isn't any director that has made at least like what people could perceive as a classic or a masterpiece in almost every genre. But Richard Donner is one of them. So I think I've got a list of like the standouts here. So horror, The Omen, superhero films. He made Superman. He made us believe a man could fly. The Lethal Weapon franchise, The Goonies. So like generational movie. Scrooged Christmas movie. A lot of people think that's a classic. I'm personally going to throw Maverick in there because I really like Maverick as like a Western comedy. He made Lady Hawk as well, which is an awesome fantasy. But while I was doing these, I was like, nobody kind of has kind of made a mark in each genre. And then Rob Reiner died, and I'm like, oh shit, Rob Reiner might have done that as well. Because we've got fantasy, political drama, comedy, romantic comedy, horror with misery. Like it's very hard to kind of get a masterful grasp of each genre. But yeah, R.I.P.
Yeah, R.I.P. I think he's affected a lot of people. Yeah.
Anything else in the news?
No other news at all. Nothing has happened in the world in the last 2 weeks since we last.
Good. Okay, that's good. Good to know.
No, we can just jump straight into the Omen if you want. I'm quite happy to do that. So the Omen, 1976. Oh, go on.
Do you want to do what we watched? As in watch anything? We can ask Matt as well.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, go on then. Yeah. What have you watched this week? Anything?
So I did Silent Night, Deadly Night, the remake.
Oh, the new one. Yeah.
Yeah, you may remember from our previous episode, we did the second one, which is about 75% flashbacks.
Oh, yeah, didn't we? Did we do that for Christmas last year?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, we did a
God,
Christmas
that was a long
special.
time ago.
Well, I mean, this is technically our Christmas special, isn't it? Because
Yeah,
it's about the horrors of religion,
yeah.
and that's what Christmas is, isn't it?
So yeah, that was really good. It has Rohan Campbell in it, Rowan Campbell, who played Corey in Halloween Ends, which is my personal favorite of that kind of
Yeah, you're weird.
newer trilogy. It's fantastic. He's fantastic in it. He's great in the Silent Night, Deadly Night. They do the Garbage Day line. They say Garbage Day.
Did they actually?
So
Good.
yeah, yeah. And then the other film that I watched this week is Bone Lake, which is a nice kind of it's mostly a gender dynamic, relationship dynamic cat and mouse thriller, but it's also a bit of a throwback to horny 70s slashers, which I appreciated. So recommended.
Oh, cool. Matt, have you watched anything good?
Yeah, I also watched Silent Night, Deadly Night in the last week.
Yeah,
really
great.
enjoyed it. Lots and lots of fun. Other than that, because I'm a throwback, I'm in the middle of a Giallo retrospective, so I'm trying to watch every single Giallo ever put out in that original period from the 60s to the 80s, and I've got through about 70 of them. Got about another 100 to go.
Oh,
Bloody hell.
we wanted to do an epic. We
Incredible.
mentioned an episode last time, didn't we? To do it a
We
Giallo
did about
episode.
Giallo. Yeah. We've never covered a single Giallo film, I don't think, but it's on the cards. Well, if we do that,
If I'm
you wanna
not
come
shit
back on?
this time, please have me back for the Giallo episode.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, cool. So I guess as this is sort of our Christmas film, Christmas episode, have you got a favorite Christmas horror? That's an open floor. Either of you.
Favorite Christmas horror? Gonna go with a modern classic, Gremlins for me.
Ah, of course.
Always has been.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I
Can't
think.
go wrong.
Do you know what? I think I'll go with Krampus because since it came out,
Yeah.
It's not that old, 2015, I think. Like since it came out, I've watched it every year. It's a really nice mix of, practical creature work, like really dark horror, but also a bit of like kind of B comedy.
Yeah.
It's a nice all rounder, Krampus. I love it.
Yeah, I suppose with that in mind, it's kind of maybe a bit of a spiritual successor to Gremlins, isn't it? It's not your hardcore horror, and it's a bit family, but not quite.
It was back
don't
in a
know.
time
feel-
like Gremlins was, you could really in some circles call it a family film, but it was very kind of dark. People are getting shot and stabbed and eaten. It's-
Yeah.
I mean, people expected it to be more of a family film than it turned out to be because it had Steven Spielberg's name on it as producer, and then there were lots of people making complaints about it because it wasn't like E.T. at all.
Oh, I would have loved to have seen that at the original time. I think I must have seen it on TV fairly close to when it came out, but I certainly didn't go to the cinema to see it or anything like that.
What about you
Right
guys?
then. Well, I see. I love both of those, but if I can be a nerd and just pick one just for picking something with a bit more relative obscurity, I watched one a few years ago called "I Trapped the Devil," and
Oh, yeah.
yeah, honestly, the name of the director escapes me at the moment. It's very slow burn, quite indie, but yeah, I thought that was really fun, and it was like it does really play on the horrors of having to deal with family members that you don't really want to deal with at Christmas, and there's almost a sort of a dark undercurrent to it. But on top of that, it's got you go through this film, and I can't say too much about it because I don't want to spoil this very thing. There's a shot right at the end that kind of turns everything upside down, and you go, "Oh fuck!" And it actually made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. I was like, "Holy shit, that was great!" And I did not see it coming at all. So yeah, if you haven't seen I Trap the Devil, and I think it is quite underrated and underseen.
Very much
Yeah, I
so.
highly recommend that one. Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, Josh Lobo was the director.
Yeah,
of
That was
one.
him, Josh Lobo. I knew he was named like a DC
And it was
superhero.
produced by Ted. No, I can never pronounce his surname. Ted Geoghegan, who made We Are Still Here and Mohawk.
Oh, that guy. Yeah. He's quite a prominent producer of horror films, isn't he? Yeah.
Does a lot of producing and distribution stuff.
Yeah, yeah, I see him interacting. He's friends with Barbara Crampton, presumably because of We're Still Here.
Yeah,
They interact a
absolutely
lot on
love We Are
social
Still
media.
Here. That's one of my
Yeah, it's a
favourites.
cracker that. Should we do the Omen first? I feel like we should save the Exorcist for a longer section at the end. I think there's more to talk about the Exorcist.
I've got more to talk about The Exorcist, Gaz,
Well,
haven't
you
I?
will have, yeah, you will have. Because what happened, Ken?
I like how you lead it to me as if I did something wrong, which I of
Well,
course
I didn't
did.
do anything wrong. Well, exactly.
You
So
briefly
Ken,
mentioned The Exorcist 3, so I thought we were doing The Exorcist 3. So I went out and got like the big special edition 4K release. I watched that. I watched the Legion cut. I watched all of the extras, even like the commentary with Matt Camone and Kim Newman on the Legion cut. I'm like, I've got so many notes. And he's like, we're doing The Exorcist. Luckily for
not the Exorcist
Gaz,
3.
The Exorcist is my favorite horror movie, maybe one of my favorite films, and I've seen it 8 million times, so I don't need notes.
Yeah, Ken wasted. Well, I'd say you wasted your time on that, but I don't think you did. I said to you before, I don't think there's any losers here because
No,
you've got a really good Blu-ray out of it, and you watched two films that you really like. So
I haven't seen The Exorcist 3 in decades, and I've never seen the Legion cut, and I was so happy. The Legion cut is so good. It's such a good film. Might be one of my favorite sequels.
Well, let's save your notes because we'll talk a bit about The Exorcist 3 later. We'll talk about The Exorcist later, then The Exorcist 3, but we'll start off with The Omen, I think. So 76, Richard Donner, starring Gregory Peck, Lee Remick, Billy Whitelaw, and a kid called Harvey. So I've actually got a couple of social media interactions about this, which I'll read out to kick us off because one of them leads quite nicely into discussion about the film. So Brian, our friend Brian, says the first Omen was fantastic. So he's talking about the new one that came out. Was it last year, the year before? The prequel one. Complete surprise.
Oh yeah,
yeah. He says complete surprise that it was fantastic, and the star performance from Nell Tiger Free. No arguments there. She was absolutely banging in it. Borrowed Trouble. I love the original, and the first sequel had its moments too. Yeah. See, I've got a bone to pick with the Omen, which I'll go into in a minute, but. I'll finish this first. And then Terra W says these movies were the precursors to the Final Destination series, with all of the visually predictable and gruesome dispatchings. It was the first thing I remember seeing Sam Neill in, which was the second one, obviously.
third one.
Sorry, yeah, second one was the middle one where it's military school, isn't it? Sorry. Yeah. It will always hold a place in my little black heart, and I will never stop secretly looking for marks on some kids. So you want to be careful with that.
Really, that's a really interesting connection, Final Destination, because having watched it again recently, there is a very there's a domino effect, there's a setup to all the kills. Yeah, definitely.
Well, see, I'll just to lead into my little bone to pick, right? So it's called The Omen because obviously in the first one they have photographic omens and portents of people's imminent deaths, right?
Which happens in Final Destination 3.
Which does, yeah. But then they don't, to my knowledge, I don't recall them doing that in any of the other Omen sequels. They do away with the actual omens. There's no omens. There certainly weren't any in the first Omen that I can recall.
Yeah.
So I found it weird. I mean, the gruesome deaths remain and all that, but there's no foreshadowing.
The Omens died with David Warner.
The Omens died with David Warner's disembodied head, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, what can we say about The Omen? Who's a fan?
I love The Omen.
Yeah,
I think it's great.
Fan of The Omen.
Yeah, I love The Omen. It's very hammy, but it's I mean, who doesn't love Patrick Troughton getting impaled by a church? That's
he plays drunken mad priest more than most people that have played drunken mad priest. I don't think it's ever insinuated that he's drunk. I think he's just dying, which I don't know. Same thing. I don't know.
I don't know if it is the same thing.
the behind the scenes stuff with The Omen is what's most entertaining, isn't it? Really, because it's one of the actually no, the film in its own right is great, but the behind the scenes stuff is entertaining. It's one of the so-called cursed films. We have multiple lightning strikes on people and planes. We have Rottweilers attacking handlers. We've got zookeepers getting mauled by tigers that worked on the film. Numerous illnesses and accidents and all this stuff. Obviously, all of it is outside of the timeline of filming, but it all gets bunched together in the urban legend mythos. And The Omen was one of the cursed films. I think chucking this at Matt, which I'll probably say a bit later on when we talk about The Exorcist, but it's one of the films where its mythos was bolstered by the backlash from the church groups, that only kind of fueled the fire of the fan base saying like, oh, it is cursed because it's so powerful that it's an affront to God and religion, and that's why, yeah, very, very strange phenomenon that both these
Very
films
much
share.
so. Very much so, yeah. The what they call the Catholic Legion of Decency in the US
Yes.
really came out strong against it. The Vatican hated it. The Vatican absolutely hated it, and it was given an ecclesiastical ban in Italy, which meant that even though it was passed for release by the state censors, nobody was allowed to go and see it, and so nobody did go to see it, so it died on its arse in Italy because the church basically forbade anyone from going.
Bloody church.
So the bloody church. It's
The bloody church.
another thing that I didn't really kind of research this directly because it's always something. The Omen was one that I rewatched when I was a kid, and when we were kids more than the current generation of youth, the Omen does something very unique in that it's pretty much changed the perception of certain kind of aspects of religious ideology. In that 666, Damien, the son of the devil. That is kind of via osmosis. A lot of people of our generation are like, "Oh, that was just in the Bible," because it like mostly wasn't. It was very kind of liberties taken with smaller aspects of the Bible. But if you grew up in a time where you'd watched Omen, you were just like, "Yeah, son of the devil, Damien, 666 is like the number of the beast and all that stuff." It's very interesting.
It feels like canon, very much so.
Yeah, it feels like religious canon. But of course it's not. A lot of it isn't. I find it so with the casting you mentioned, Gaz, Gregory Peck. I find it interesting that he wasn't the first choice because I've always found him to be perfect casting. Because who better than to harbour the son of the devil than one of cinema's nicest men, Atticus Finch himself? I mean, he was in The Boys from Brazil, but we'll forget about that. But he was Atticus Finch. He was a bastion of morality. So Gregory Peck being, the ultimate kind of, and I think it helps is that character's moral quandary towards the end, like right up until the end, he doesn't know what to do with the kid.
Yeah. And it's good that not so good that he does hesitate and then gets shot, doesn't he? But you can see the anguish in him right up until that last shot before where he's got the dagger raised above him, the daggers of Megiddo, whatever it's called.
Yeah, I didn't actually check but I wonder if there was a situation where, I mean, there's a large percentage chance. I wonder if there was a situation where Damien probably died, but the studio just wanted more sequels.
They didn't have the balls to kill the kid, perhaps more likely.
Yeah, that's a good point. We weren't living in an age where that was definitely still.
Then John Carpenter came along with Assault on Precinct 13 and just changed the rules for everybody.
Yeah, I'll try not to. We'll try not to go too deep into this podcast's appreciation of killing kids in cinema because we've got a guest.
Not talk about that. Yeah, we don't want to upset Matt too much.
My favourite film is all about kids getting killed. So I mean,
it's a battle royale. What film is it?
A duckling.
Oh, Don't Torture a Duckling.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So Ken, you said before someone got mauled by a tiger.
Yeah, so the zookeeper who was on the this is probably, I'm paraphrasing a lot of this, but the zookeeper who was on the animal team for the scene in the zoo where Damien goes and all the animals go mental, he was later mauled by a tiger and killed after filming.
Right. Well, see, this is what I wanted to clarify because we have a regular segment on the show called How Many Cats Are in It, right?
Oh, yeah.
So in The Omen, when I was rewatching this the other day, I paid very special attention to the zoo scene, and I didn't see any big cats.
No.
So, I mean, there's every other animal under the fucking sun is in it. There's giraffes. There's, a lot of what they call baboons. There's endless dogs in the film, endless dogs, but no cats. So Just wanted to get that out of the way. No cats in this film.
I think this film goes a long way to, or went a long way to, demonizing, much like Jaws caused probably countless deaths of sharks in the ocean. This film went a long way to demonizing the Rottweiler, because I have never met a Rottweiler that isn't a giant teddy bear. Like, they're not naturally nasty creatures.
They're so soft.
No, they were very much demonized, though, weren't they? I remember them being the dogs you had to keep an eye on in the 80s. Like, my parents would say stuff like that.
Yeah.
One of the things that both these films share is a unbelievably iconic musical score. And one of the interesting interview tidbits that I had was Jerry Goldsmith was afraid to go to the Oscars because of the reaction to the film. He was afraid that if he would have, I think he was nominated, he was afraid that he might be kind of picketed and have things thrown at him. Such was, as Matt said, the backlash to the film. But it's a brilliant Jerry Goldsmith, which has had a resurgence recently in kind of memes, because there's that meme where someone will show a montage of a cat going insane and it'll be the spiritus dominus.
You know what? I must admit, I found on the rewatch the other night, I found certain sections of the score a little bit overbearing. There was specifically the bits to do with Damien when they're trying to portray him as angelic. You'll go from this really ominous sort of and it'll be like, oh, there's Damien, la 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 la, and it almost felt a little bit cheesy in a way.
Yeah.
But I think for the horror elements, the score can't be faulted. And is it Ave Satani? It's called the main.
The main theme
title thing. Did Phantom Mask cover that?
Yes, they did. On the
director's cut. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Patton giving it all that. Yeah, Ken, you're a Patton fan. You should check that out if you haven't heard it.
Oh yeah, I haven't. I will. I love Mike.
Patton is God.
Yeah, he really is. I rewatch. I think once a year I watch the video of him doing the voices for the zombies in Left 4 Dead. Just him in front of a mic doing weird noises, and it's therapeutic. I go to sleep to it.
I do the same, but with the Angosphere from a Portal video game.
Yeah.
Did Patton do the zombie voices in? What's it called now?
I Am Legend.
I Am Legend, yeah.
He did, didn't he? Yeah, he did.
I've still never seen it, but yeah, I thought he had.
I love all the random gigs he has. He also plays he's one of his prominent roles in the 2000s was the lead in the Bionic Commando remake on PS3, which was terrible. But he's the main protagonist, and it's the only reason I bought that game.
He did the Ninja Turtles theme tune. He recorded that for that last Ninja Turtles game. That's the arcade one, the sequel to the arcade one.
Oh, it's fantastic, that game.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
it's great. It's cracking. Yeah.
Anyway, the Omen. we were on Turtles. We've got all over the place.
I know. No cats.
Yeah. So regardless, probably in spite of, or probably because of, in spite English, of the backlash from religious groups, the general kind of reaction in the populace. It was a cultural phenomenon, the Omen. It earned 80 million from a 2 million budget worldwide, which is insane back in the 70s. And we forget this is like 1 year before. I always use Star Wars as a barometer, because there's Jaws, which teases us into basically the world of Hollywood money making that we're in now, and then Star Wars, which is 77. And that's when everything changes. So there's like 76, it's before Star Wars, and like a little horror movie about a weird kid earns 80 million, which is insane. I really love Damien as well. As you mentioned, played by Harvey Stevens. I think a couple of anecdotes. He had a tantrum in the audition, and that's why Richard Donner hired him. Started like throwing stuff about, and also another anecdote, which I think it might have been debunked or it might be true. The bit at the end where he turns around and does one of the most iconic creepy kid smiles.
Oh, the little smile, yeah.
Richard Donner didn't want him to smile, and he turned round, and Richard Donner's apparently behind the camera like, do not smile, Harvey, don't smile. And he smiles anyway. And that's the cut that they kept.
What a little devil.
Yeah.
Playing to playing to type there. What do you think of the sequels then? I think the sequels are good. Well, the first two I enjoyed, but the
I like
second
Sam
one and the
Neill.
third one. I like Sam Neill, yeah. Sam Neill's great. I mean, I think the second one's a better sequel. I think the sort of diminishing returns. I dislike the fact that the actual omens themselves kind of disappear. But I think it's a good trilogy and it's a good arc. I mean, it's an ongoing story, so it's not just like weird offshoot sequels. It's proper sequels. You know, it's a contained story about in three parts.
Yeah. The remake is absolutely terrible.
I've never watched it. I've never watched the TV series either.
No, I haven't. I've seen the one where the baby's a girl instead. Is it called The New Omen?
The
That's
Awakening is it or something?
bobbins.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so bad. I enjoyed all three of the original three films. I thought Sam Neill's fantastic in the third one.
Yeah.
And I just love that iconic scene in the second one of the guy getting chopped in half in the elevator
Oh
by
yeah.
the electric cable. One of
I
my
think
favourite
there's a
things to watch
few.
as a kid, that.
Yeah, same. Well, that one, there's that. I mean, it gave me a long-lasting fear of like walking on ice. Did that film?
Yeah.
That's the one where the guy goes under it, and you can see him like skidding about underneath. That was quite harrowing. And then there's that
Actually,
woman who
do you
gets her
know,
eyes back.
he did the opposite with me because I was a dickhead. I still am a dickhead. It made me want to walk on ice more. So whenever I saw a pond that had been iced over, I'm like, right, great. And then put one foot on it and my leg just goes straight through. I'm like, all right, okay. Next time, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll die like that guy in the film.
Yeah, let's get omened. There's another one in the Omen too, where that woman gets her eyes pecked out in it, and she walks out in front of a truck.
Yes.
Although I think that's as cool as all them deaths are. The one bit that actually I thought was genuinely a bit unnerving. There's a bit where Damien, as a teenager, shoots this other kid like this stare. Just looks at him in the military camp thing that they're in, and it's obviously something weird and satanic is going on. You don't quite know what it is because the kid just stops dead and stares at him, and Damien's just staring at this kid, and it's like he's using some sort of devilish influence on the kid, and the kid's really scared. I don't know. It's like he's looking into his soul or something. And I thought that was really quite well done.
Before we move on to the Exorcist / Exorcist 3, maybe. Special mention to the first Omen, which I think one of our commenters mentioned before. Really, really great film. Actually, the other day I bought the new. Finally, they've restored Possession, and I bought the new 4K restoration of Possession.
Nice.
Another Sam Neill joint, and probably the central scene in the first Omen is the birth scene.
Yeah.
Nell Tiger Free homages Possession by having a fucking solid freak out, which is outstanding.
A 5-minute pregnancy. Yeah. Solid freak out. Yeah. The Exorcist, I think. I mean, if you're listening to this show now and you haven't seen The Exorcist, I mean, what have you been doing for 50 years, man?
Best horror film ever made, TM.
It's the problem.
Possibly the best film ever made.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I would say, I sometimes think what's, the most iconic. It's a toss up between for horror films. I think it's a toss up between this and The Shining, but I think it's probably this one. And there's no one who. I can't imagine that there's anyone who hasn't seen it, and I'm including like 2-week-old babies. They must have seen that at this point. Everybody's seen The Exorcist.
I want to plug Matt's book because in the opening you go on a bit about your early education. I too had an early education in horror cinema via pirate VHS. We had we had a Back of the Van Man. He was called, and now Back of the Van Man. My mama just let me pick out anything, and obviously I chose whatever because he printed out the covers as well, and he'd put them in like paper around the thing, and I'd choose like that's how I got like things like the Ghoulies because the cover look meant.
Ghoulies,
and The Exorcist was famously banned on home physical release. It was a video nasty. It was a home release from 88 to 99, and I think I got it in 99. And then me and my mate went round to his. We watched it. So I'd seen it there was a BBC documentary many, many years ago in the early 90s Matt Commode was on a panel with other filmmakers, and it was like the most disturbing films ever made and why you should watch. Well, Matt Commode was mostly saying you should watch them. Everyone else was like, "Oh, don't watch this sick film." And one of them was The Exorcist, and they showed the crucifix masturbation scene. And of course, me being a kid, I'm like, I need this film in my life. So when it finally came out on home release, we got it from the back of the van, man. Took it. We watched it on the smallest CRT TV in my mate's bedroom. Like I'm sat on the top bunk, he sat on the bottom bunk. Tiny TV, and it terrified me for months. For months,
Yeah.
I saw Pazuzu's face, and to this day, I think the last time, well, I saw it on the 4K last year, but the year before that, I went to see it at the cinema, and I was shivering. I was that afraid. It still gets me.
Did you go for the 50th anniversary showing then?
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah, I went. It was
Uh,
like not last year, it was the year before. It was 74, 73, sorry.
yeah.
So yeah, 1973 came out, so it would have been 50 like 2 years ago. So yeah, I went to see it as well. I also had a video education. I saw The Exorcist for the first time I had this really weird summer where I went back to my hometown. I used to do this every like half term or summer holidays. Used to go to Scotland to my hometown and see my friends. And there was one summer where someone got hold of there's The Exorcist, A Clockwork Orange, and Natural Born Killers, and we watched all three of them, and they were all banned. We just someone
Wow.
Yeah, what
yeah,
a trilogy.
yeah, and I think it must have been like 94. I think I would have been about 14. Well, Natural Born Killers was 94, right? Was it 94?
Yeah, that rings a bell. Yeah.
I'm gonna Google it. That would have only just come out. Yeah, so I managed to, at the age of about 14, I watched all three of these films in really close succession because of pirate videos. And it had to be pirate video because there was no other way to access it at that time. There was no internet,
Yeah.
obviously, in like 1994.
Say because well, as you said, everyone probably listens to this has watched The Exorcist. Maybe we'll offer you some more insight. The Exorcist is one of those films where it's like Jaws in that it has you could write a huge novel, and Matt at least wrote part of a novel, a book about the lore of the film. Like, how did Friedkin get the sound of the neck spinning round? Like, what was the pea suit made of? Like, all these kind of it's a film that's been poured over for like decades. But one of the things that I had never, and this is after spending years in college and uni studying film, I never came across the links with blaxploitation that you found, Matt, in your book. Particularly that film that was dubbed
Abby.
The Blaxorcist. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's because it was successfully buried. The studio managed to get it buried something like 3 or 4 months after its release, and it's never been allowed to be seen since. You can watch it on YouTube, like a really horrible dog shit copy that looks like it's been filmed on a potato, but there's never been a formal release of it because to this day it's still subject to the lawsuit.
Wow. Yeah, it was a really interesting kind of. It's just because I don't think of I think of The Exorcist as kind of as a landmark, like a watershed moment in horror. But you don't often think of people don't often talk about the immediate reaction of like filmmakers that tried to ape it immediately, and like other kind of demographics of filmmakers that wanted to kind of get in on that and get the representation from it. So yeah, that was really interesting reading that.
Yeah, and there were so many as well with The Exorcist. Like, yeah, Abby with the blaxploitation directors. There's about a dozen Exorcist rip-offs in Italian cinema, as you'd probably expect.
Yes, yeah.
From Lisa and the Devil to Beyond the Door, loads and loads of Italian ones. And I think it was probably the film that really brought the kind of satanic horror genre to life. I know Rosemary's Baby was the one that kicked it off, but there was only maybe 3 or 4 satanic horror films of any repute that came out between Rosemary's Baby and The Exorcist, and then after The Exorcist there was just this explosion.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was another like the Omen, another kind of cultural phenomenon. There's, another film where its actual screenings were kind of talked about, people kind of reportedly throwing up and fainting in the
Yeah,
aisles and all that sort of stuff.
fainting and yeah. It arguably was one of the things that influenced the satanic panic, moral panic in the 80s.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
something I haven't written about, but I'm going to. I'll give you a little sneak peek here. I am actually writing a book on The Exorcist at the moment. I'm writing it for the Devil's Advocate series, so that'll probably not be out until 2027. But yeah, I'm doing all my research at the moment and finding out all sorts of interesting stuff.
Oh, that's great. We
Yeah.
need more Exorcist literature that isn't just Mark Commode. As much as I love him, because he's like the authority in The Exorcist. So let's
He
get more people
is,
out there. Yeah.
but everything that's out bookwise about The Exorcist, it's all stuff about behind the scenes, cast and crew,
Yeah.
interviews. It all goes down that same route. There's no real actual analysis of the film, and that's what I'm trying to do with mine. Try and
Good.
break that
Well,
routine a bit.
I'm glad because obviously with us doing this podcast, I try to come at films from different angles because most of the things that we do on the podcast I've seen like many times. It's very
Hmm.
rarely will have covered a film that I haven't seen, which makes me sound like such a film bro, but I am. But The Exorcist, like pound for pound, certainly my favorite horror film, with the exception of Dawn of the Dead. But anyway, um, but I came at it this time, and this was helped by watching Exorcist 3 as well. I came at it this time with just how strong the themes are of like kind of grief and doubt and being like lost. It's really about, you can watch The Exorcist and it be just about Karis, which from a lot of angles it is. It's
Hmm.
not, Reagan and everything that happens with her is almost like just a side thing to the journey that Karis is going through.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's called
Um,
The Exorcist, isn't it? It's not called The Possessed Kid. Do you know what
yes,
I mean?
yeah, that's a really good point. I think, but even with that, like we have this kind of almost superhero like figure in Merrin, and we've always wanted to know more about Merrin, but then they made some shitty prequels. Even the one that Paul Schrader had final cut on is terrible. But I mean, I don't know if Matt, what do you think of the prequels?
I think they're awful. I
Yeah.
will say though that I am probably the world's foremost Exorcist 2 the heretic apologist.
Oh no.
Not because I think it's objectively a good film, because it isn't. It's terrible, but just because of the ideas behind it. Because Father Merrin was based on a real life Jesuit priest called Pierre Teilhard de Chardin, who did some absolutely mental stuff that got him completely thrown out of the church, where he was essentially a priest and philosopher and archaeologist, and he was trying to tie together all these different ideas about the universe, and so bring scientific ideas together with religious, together with all sorts of weird cosmic stuff. So everything that they discuss in Exorcist 2, all that really mad batshit stuff, that was all actually from a real life priest. Those were the beliefs and the work and the teachings of a real life Jesuit priest from like hundreds of years ago. So that's why I'm a big fan of that one.
Oh, you make me want to go back and watch it now. I should have
Holy
done that.
shit.
Yeah, it is. But it's because when I was consuming all the materials for The Exorcist 3, which people might have heard of. Gaz
Have
certainly
you
has
have you
when he
watched
told me
it,
to.
Ken? Have you seen
Yeah.
it?
So they have a huge section where they're talking about the transition between Exorcist. Because Exorcist 3 is the true sequel to William Blatty's sequel to
Yeah.
The Exorcist. And I always forget John Borman directed The Heretic. Like
Yeah.
he's an incredible director, and like he's as I remember it, it's not a necessarily badly made film. It's just as a sequel to The Exorcist and as a written piece, it's kind of terrible. Um, But yeah, so carrying on the themes from The Exorcist of grief and doubt, I did go into I did accidentally study heavily The Exorcist 3, which I haven't seen in many years. I think I just like kind of hand waved it away in my head. I always just rewatch The Exorcist and I'm like, there's no more. But I rewatched The Exorcist 3 and I put the theatrical version on first and I'm like, this is like really good. Like really good. And it has one of the most one of the best jump scares ever in horror cinema.
Perfect jump scare.
Mwah.
The whole thing.
The way that whole scene is just set up, how as this, if anyone hasn't seen The Exorcist 3 who is listening to this, skip this bit because it is the greatest jump scare possibly of all time. The way that it's set up, where you just see everyone gradually leaving the nurse's station, because if you wouldn't see it coming, and going back to watch it and just appreciating how well it's set up for that moment.
See, it's like you've had your jump scare. It's the man in the bed. You've had it, and she wanders, and not only one cop comes in, but two cops come in. So you've got two men in uniform, the universal signifier that everything is okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they leave, and it's in frame, out of frame.
And then just all of a sudden she's by herself, and you don't even realize necessarily that she's alone until bang, fucking hell, what a perfect moment. Scared the shit out of me.
It's phenomenal. But I think The Exorcist 3, following on from the Exorcist themes, is the kind of it is the continuation of this kind of this doubt and this grief and most of the film, Kinderman and the priest for the beginning of the film, I'm forgetting his name, but like they're living with the grief of Karis even 15 years later. So Karis is still very much a part, and he's an actual physical part of the theatrical version. And I think I was one of the interviews from Matt Commode is like one of the central themes of the film is the numbing of the moral sense, which I think directly relates to The Exorcist 1 as well, in that part of the assault of what's happening to Reagan is meant to kind of it's an attack on the moral senses of the Exorcist Merrin and Karis, who's already going through his own thing, and then that's kind of built on in The Exorcist 3, where people are kind of the demon legion, like Pazuzu and all his mates, and the Gemini killer. They're kind of playing on the natural human fragility that we have, especially with religious ideology as well, and the kind of how that thing can make things better and worse. And then I watched the Legion cut as well, which is vastly superior. It takes out Jason Miller, who's great in the theatrical cut, but it takes him out, and it's just Brad Dourif, who is phenomenal. It takes out the ridiculous exorcism scene at the end, which watching the theatrical cut again, it's just like, where the fucking hell does that come from? Oh, some studio suit was like, there's no exorcist in this, mate. That's where it came from.
Is Fabio still in it?
Fabio's in it. So it's got a wonderful surreal dream sequence which mirrors the dream sequence in Exorcist 1. And it's basically Kinderman's in heaven. He's not in heaven. He's in the station going to heaven or hell, purgatory-ish. Bunch of angels. Fabio is one of them. Samuel L. Jackson's one of them. Samuel L. Jackson is in it as one of the angel dudes. The Exorcist 3 is great.
I'd love to talk a little bit about what the Vatican thought of The Exorcist, because
please.
It's really quite amusing. The Vatican, not going to be a spoiler for me to say that most horror films they didn't like and they wanted to ban. Really hated the vast majority of them. When the Vatican came to review The Exorcist, the Vatican's critic basically couldn't tear himself away from the fact that he clearly really loved the film. And so he's supposed to be doing this job of saying how bad the film is for the Catholic population, but he couldn't help but keep praising it. what does he say? He says there's no reason to doubt the objectivity of the facts which have numerous findings in the ancient and modern ecclesiastical chronicle and are preceded by rather explicit evangelical episodes on the freedoms granted by divine providence, powers of darkness, puzzling mysteries, and sometimes the perennial struggle of good against evil. He goes on to discuss the reality of sin and evil in general, and the fact that this film shows that evil can be defeated, but only by priests. So the fact that basically the central antagonist, the central protagonist of this film is a priest, and this priest is effectively a superhero.
Yeah.
The Vatican love it. And then right at the very end, this reviewer catches himself and goes, oh, but by the way, it's full of blood and gore and revolting situations with this young girl, so nobody should watch it, ban it.
Oh.
After having just waxed lyrical about it for his entire review, talking about how great this film is and how the notion that good can defeat evil if you believe in God and if you believe in your priest and allow them to get on with the job. And it did such a great bit of advertising for actual exorcisms. The demand for exorcisms skyrocketed after The Exorcist came out, which of course the Vatican loved because they got to send their priests out here and there and everywhere pretending to be superheroes and banishing these supposed demons back to hell.
Does that include what is my timeline off? Does that include Russell Crowe, shall we say? Because I can't remember his name from the Pope's Exorcist, or is he like way before that?
Way before that.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that film, by the way.
I haven't seen the Pope's Exorcist. Is that the one that had the font they used was like Frasier? The same one for the Frasier TV show?
Yeah,
really
yeah,
weird.
it is. It's right. It's the same font. Well, yeah,
What's that about?
I really enjoyed it because he plays it. It's played like a buddy cop comedy. Like Russell Crowe plays like the grizzled exorcist, and he's got like a younger priest with him, and there's an exorcist situation. But he plays it really well. It's hokey shit, but I enjoyed it.
Fair enough.
Well, you feature him in your Exorcist chapter, Matt, and it reminded me of that film. A lot of fun. Did The Exorcist feature in? Right, let me try this. I did study Italian for a very brief period. Segnalazione cinematografiche.
Cinematografiche.
Yes.
Yes, it did. So that was the review from the Segnazione Cinematografiche that I just read out. Absolutely fantastic. And for anyone wanting to buy my book, The Vatican versus Horror Movies, out now from McFarland & Co., the chapter on satanic horror was the one I had the most fun researching and writing, because the way the Vatican and its critics tie themselves in knots over these films, where essentially any of them where the priest wins out, so The Exorcist, Amityville 2, The Possession is another one, it's quite clear that the reviewers loved the facts and they weren't able to stop themselves talking about the fact that these priests are these superheroes, but then they still try to say at the end, oh, but it's terrible and nobody should watch it and it should be banned. They had an easier time with films like The Omen because ultimately evil wins in The Omen, so they were just like, this is terrible, this is awful, this is a complete sacrilege of the scripture, ban this film. But they just couldn't bring themselves to do it with the films where the priest won out. So yeah, they're hand-wringing over The Exorcist and Amityville 2, The Possession is really quite amusing to me. So I make a very big deal of it in the book.
Yes, so it's definitely a good read, that one. I had a question for you, actually. I don't know if this will send us out, Gaz, but it's similar to an interview that we did recently, and I asked a certain Cenobite, shall we say, It's the exact. It is a Cenobite about the current state of things, basically. And I think about that a lot, especially in cinema, especially with big things happening like Netflix buying Warner Brothers and all that stuff. A lot of your book is about, well, a kind of a through line in your book is censorship, particularly at an organized level of implementation. The cinematographic reports and things like the Hays Code over in the US, which I learned quite a lot about in like college and uni. Do you think we're past the time now when a governing or influential body can affect such a drastic change in artistic output, or are we still at risk?
Absolutely, we are. We're way past the time where that's even remotely possible. And in actual fact, if you take Italy as kind of a microcosm, that shows really well, because that country, being the centre of Roman Catholicism, being the home of the Church, the home of the Vatican, something like 98% of Italians were Roman Catholics back in the 1950s and 60s. There was such a shift over a period of about 30 to 40 years, and that's why I stopped even bothered looking at the reviews of these films after, say, the mid-1980s, because by then, Italians were just outright ignoring anything the church said in any of these reviews and going to see whatever the hell they liked. If you think about the films that were banned in the video nasties controversy over here, a lot of them are considered very, very tame. Now, some of them really are tame. You've got films like Driller Killer, which, for the most part, is bloody boring. Evil Dead is practically a comedy, and it's hard to believe that these were films that were ever banned. And now you've occasionally got filmmakers really trying to push the envelope as far as they can to see if they get in trouble. I'm thinking films like a Serbian film would be one.
Oh, fuck's sake. Yeah.
I hate that film.
Yeah, and me. And apart from a couple of shortcuts that were made to it, it was released. And I looked into, someone did a study of various people that were asked to watch and review a number of supposedly extreme films on behalf of the BBFC, one of which was a Serbian film. And they were all just like, don't see what the problem is. Don't see what the problem is with the vast majority of these films, with the exception of we're glad that they've took out the bit where the baby gets nonced. So, I just think it's impossible these days. Nobody, if the church hasn't got that power anymore, nobody's got that power anymore. And the church lost that power back in the 1980s.
Well, that's heartening, isn't it? Nobody wants another Hays Code.
No. Nobody wants another Mary Whitehouse on their hands, do we?
No. I think the last big one that I can recall will have been over Child's Play 3 and the James Bulger murder.
Yes. Of course, yeah.
That sparked a backlash, and the video nasties controversy was renewed with that. And that all turned out to be a storm in the teacup. Because, of course, it is. They always are.
Yeah, they always try. I think Columbine was another big one. The Matrix was used in Columbine, but then a lot of things were used in Columbine. Doom was used. Marilyn Manson was used. So that was more of a cultural thing.
But none of those.
I was going to say, I wonder if perhaps
no,
they didn't. But also, I guess they had a new scapegoat, didn't they? When video games started to become more prominent in the 90s as well, after Child's Play 3.
That's a good point. Two British guys in their infinite wisdom created the Grand Theft Auto series, and then the tabloids had another whipping boy for decades.
Well, I think we'll leave it there for now, gentlemen. I'll say thanks again, Matt, for coming on the show. You've been an excellent guest, and I have learned a lot just from listening to you talk. So, do come back when we do our Jello special. That'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been a bunch of fun. And I'd love to come back. Do have me back if you do a Jello episode. I'll come back and I will bore the tits off you about Jello.
Excellent. And what I'll do, I'll leave us with. We had a couple more comments about the Exorcist. I'll leave us with those. From Longdon Calling says it remains one of the most powerful and disturbing films I have seen. Yes, it's also an absolute masterpiece. And Movie Postmortem, extremely disturbing. It's a film that is still as chilling even decades later, and that's certainly true for me. So this is the last one before Christmas. So again, thanks to Matt, Ken. Goodbye from Ken, sorry, and me, and Merry Christmas, one and all.
Yes, Merry Christmas, everyone.
Season's greetings, folks.
Season's greetings. We'll be back in the new year with some new content. All right, have a good one, everybody. Take care.
See you all.
Live from Manchester Morgue is an independent horror movie podcast, researched, written, produced and hosted by Gary Hames and Ken Talbot. New episodes air every 2 weeks on Spotify, Apple, YouTube and all major podcast providers. You can help us grow by leaving a rating or sharing the show with like-minded friends. If you want to get in touch, you can leave us a comment or email us at killertunes976@gmail.com.